Hello, everybody. My name is Richard Kerslake from the FIDO Alliance. Thank you for joining us today. And in the next couple of hours, we'll be going through a workshop on FIDO Device Onboard. So we'll be joined by a number of presentations that will talk about FDO across a wide range of applications. We'll be looking at it from the lens of an end user all the way through to technology providers, both on the software and the hardware side. And we'll also be talking a little bit about the future of FDO. Where does it go next? Let me start with some housekeeping first of all, because I think there's a few questions you may be asking. All of the attendees are listen mode only, so I can't hear you. If you have questions, there is an ability, as I mentioned later, for you to enter them in the chat, and then we'll take those later. Make sure your media player is open, and on your console, you can resize it as and when you like. There is a question widget. So we'll have a full panel at the end of the presentations for about 30 minutes. So feel free to ask questions at any time during the presentations, but we won't probably get to any of those until the very end. And then we'll kind of save those up until we have the whole panel assembled. The webinar is recorded. So if there's something you want to go back and watch at a later date, it will be available for you. And then a last favor I would ask is at the end, could you please stay on long enough to complete the survey? We'd certainly love to get your feedback on what you liked and what you didn't like. So with that, I'll cut in now and we'll start talking in detail about the agenda. As I mentioned, I'll start really looking at a couple of elements of FDO. What is it and what value does it bring? I'm sure many of you on the call know what FIDO Device Onboard is, but for those that don't, let me spend a few minutes explaining that. And I should highlight FIDO Alliance, as you'll hear, a lot of discussion of passkeys. Today, we won't be discussing passkeys, we'll be talking about FDO. I'll also talk briefly about some of the software implementations, because in addition to the spec, we have open source software available and commercial solutions available that support the standard. Then we'll move into David Hedge and Kelly Lee from ExxonMobil, and they'll really be talking about how they've been using FDO in their real world applications for automating both hardware and software deployment and the role that FDO takes. They'll be talking also about FDO support and the role of certification in future OPA ExxonMobil projects. I'm sure many of you will want to hear about the work that they've carried out, but also about where is ExxonMobil going in the future with their OPA projects. Kenny Chang will join us via video. He's based in Taipei, and given the time zones, he will be joining us remotely and in terms of a pre-recorded video. Then we'll move to Josh Swanson, who's an architect at Red Hat, and he'll be talking about the world of FDO through the lens of Red Hat's software solutions. And then Gerardo from Microsoft will really be giving you a very early insight into what Microsoft are doing with their Azure Edge solution and the role that FDO plays in it. You may have seen little bits of it on YouTube, but this will give you a chance to hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak, what they're doing. And of course, you'll be able to ask Gerardo questions at the end. And then we have two last things to finish up with. One, we'll be talking about the future of FDO. So Brad Goodman, who's our co-chair, distinguished member of technical staff at Dell, and he'll be talking about really not just FDO and where it's going, but some new initiatives of what we're calling bare metal onboard, as he'll tell you about the ability to remotely deploy software. And he'll go through kind of where we are and where we're going. And then at the end, we'll have a 30-minute panel discussion with everyone. So thank you for that. We'll just take a few seconds break, and then I'll rejoin you in a moment with the introduction session.